Welcome to Founders Forum. My name is Executive Trustee David Renty. Today, we will hear exactly how did CMI get started through our subject entitled, In the Beginning. I'm very proud and excited to introduce our founder and executive trustee, Mr. James E. Aldrich, Jr.
This is very exciting. That's the only way I can think to begin this particular series of audio tapes, which I hope will bring quite a bit of enlightenment and entertainment and relaxation in some cases, realization in others, to all our families that will engage in this one-on-one conversation with me. And even though you won't be able to participate in the conversations, I hope to hear from you all and your responses in emails and telephone calls and engaging in other conversations with other family members according to the subject matter that I try to bring to you on this audio tape series. This has been a long time coming for me. I've always wanted to get to a point to where, you know, I can just express opinions and ideals and put them out there as food for thought, and hopefully start a national conversation with our families. So I'm really honored to be able to be in a position to do this and excited by it. And I can't think of a better topic or subject matter to begin with than the title of this audio tape, which is In the Beginning. You have no idea how many families have asked me over and over again, you know, why did I start CMI and how did it get started? And it starts off, you know, with them with a smile, because it's sometimes it's a little funny for them how candid I am with them. And I'm going to be just as candid with you all when I go through all of these tape series. And quite honestly, why did I start CMI? Because I needed to make some money. That's what it boiled down to. I was tired of being laid off from one engineering job to the other, because that was the period of time when we were in just incredible high interest rates. Some of you may remember when those home loans got up to 18% for a home loan, 16% for a home loan. Of course, that pretty much shut down the construction industry. So it was, you get hired on, a year and a half, the project's over, you get laid off. And I got tired of that constant on and off, and I needed a way to make me some money. And it was really incredible in the fact that in the beginning, my first exposure in the late 80s to precious metals came with another company. And I'll jump forward just a little bit and then come back, but I ended up buying that company that I was originally with and moving forward with CMI. But that was my first exposure to silver, and it was really a unique experience in that our first presentation on the Silver Eagles was basically this. This is the American Silver Eagle bullion coin. It's 99.9% pure silver, has a face value of $1, is minted, backed, and guaranteed by the United States government, and it's considered real money. Now, we're going to share with you how you'll make money by selling this product. And that was it. I mean, that presentation was probably 20 minutes at the most, you know, another 10 minutes for Q&A, and we were off and running. That company got up to about 80,000 people in that company at the height of its success. And not to go into it, but just to jump forward, that company in 1 year, due to some unknowing litigation that came on the company, went from 80,000 down to 5. The 2 owners, 2 regional VPs, and myself. Now, what caused me to hang around that company when I wasn't one of the VPs of that company? That was my first exposure to the software program. It didn't have a name at that time, but I knew it was something special about that company. It wasn't in a product. It was in this fledgling elementary software program. I had both of the VPs approach me, and they wanted to go into a partnership, each of them separately. So they approached me in, okay, who's going to be able to get James to come on with them, because they knew I had been working with the founder of the original company on the software program, and I shared with them, whoever obtains that software program, that's who I'll partnership with. So one of the gentlemen did, and off and away we were. Now, at that particular point, it was going into deciding what this company would be. Not too long down the path, I came into a split image as far as what CMI would be and develop into. And as far as I was concerned, I had learned that all the time with the original company that we were chasing dollars. It seems like they became more and more elusive. So I had learned that we need to structure a company that would be more concerned about and had more of a concept of helping others and making sure that they received what they needed first and the company last. Well, my partner thought otherwise. He wanted to get involved and create a get-rich-quick type of a scenario for our company. And believe me, the software program would allow us to do that. But I wanted this company to be a 40, 50, 60-year-old company. I did not want to see a flash in the pan. And that's exactly what all the get-rich-quick companies I've seen and experienced have been, just a flash in the night. At the time, my original partner and I had a discussion or disagreement on the direction the company would go. There was a defining moment that set the path of CMI, and that was a seminar workshop we conducted in Seattle, Washington. And there was a lady there that was considered a heavy hitter in the multi-level marketing field, and we went in to do a seminar and workshop. And at that seminar and workshop, the all-day workshop, that's when we were in the training stage of Mod 3 and Mod 3 SC. So of course we were showing the almost basically the same type of information that we do now with Mod 3 and Mod 3 SC, but we didn't have all the other items we have today. We had the silver, we had the and we had the software program. Now, in doing the presentation, we started educating on precious metals, so that made the presentation come up to standards. Now, during the full one-day workshop, this particular lady was in and out of the workshop, on the telephone, at the back of the room, not paying any attention whatsoever, to what was going on in the workshop. Now, all the individuals, which were her people, as she designated them, but they were all in CMI, were getting very excited, during the day, learning about Mod 3 and Mod 3 SC, and afterwards, it was probably the greatest thing they had seen, because it was a break from the multi-level marketing mentality and get-rich-quick scheme type of scenario. So after the session, we had a meeting with her and I think it was probably 8 of her lead people. I call them cronies. And it was my partner and myself. Now, my partner and myself, we sat at one end of a long table. She looks down the table at me, and this was a special meeting they wanted to have afterwards. And the first thing she says is, well, I want to make it clear to you what this meeting is going to be about. And she says, I want CMI to be changed around. Long story short, she wanted to convert it into a multi-level marketing company, get rich quick type deal. Now, keep in mind, she had not seen anything about Mod 3SC, or else I wouldn't have been dealing with this particular situation. And she looks down the table and she says, now, if you do not change this company to the way I want it to be, I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to pull out all of my people, and without me and my people, you don't have a company. She says, we are CMI. Now, you can only imagine, the look on my face at this particular point. So I look over to my partner and I lean over and I say to him, I said, okay, I'm about to tell this lady where to shove it. Now, you're behind me in this. Is that right? And he leans back over and he says, no, I'm not behind you. Says, if you tell her that, you're going to tell her that on your own. Says, I'm on her side. Now, I know some of you are probably really heaving out there now, and you can only imagine, my shock in experiencing this with someone that I'm supposed to be in a partnership with. And this deal is going on behind my back, and I knew nothing of it. Well, at that point, I packed up my bags, came back to Kansas City, and shortly after that, I got a resignation notice from my partner that he was resigning from CMI, and the entire company was dumped on me at that particular point. Now, keep in mind, I was already spending 16 and 18-hour days creating material, documentation, training, seminars, traveling, doing workshops. My wife would go to bed at night. I'm on the computer. She'd wake up in the morning, get ready to go to work. I'm on the computer. She comes home from work. I'm on the computer. I'm on the telephone. It actually got to a point to where the pressure and the stress was to a point to where my body actually locked up physically. I had my head locked to the right and one of my arms locked across my body, and had to be in traction for a couple of weeks before I could even move properly. Now, most people, I would imagine, would have said, okay, if that happened, we'll just close the company down and move forward with something else. I had made a commitment to people all across the country. I said if one person was going to do this, if there was only one person that wanted to do this, I would keep this company going no matter what. I was extremely fortunate to have some incredible families that did understand the vision of where we wanted to go so that we could get to where we are today. And they jumped to the occasion. They rose to the occasion. Ben and Lenora Tony in North Carolina, Raymond Renfro in North Carolina, Robin Groeschel in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here in Kansas City, we had family members rise to the occasion. They simply said, James, just tell us what you need us to do. We're going to help you. They did not ask for a cent. They did not ask for a single penny, no compensation. It wasn't even talked about. All they wanted to know is what could they do to help keep the company going. You can imagine how I today feel about these individuals. I call them the pioneers, as they stuck through the times, and believe me, we've had some tough to hold to get here to where we are today. And needless to say, everything that I shared with them some 11 years ago is all reality today, and it's beyond all of our imaginations. Our main focus became, what could we do for others instead of what could we put in our own pockets? Draining my personal funds, having my wife having to support our family so that I could go full time and get the necessary work done. The challenge was beyond what most people would imagine. And you hear this issue about, if you had it to do all over again, would you do it the same way, or would you do it all over again? My answer to that is absolutely not. There is no way anyone could get me to take my family through the sacrifice and the blood, sweat, and tears and the pain and suffering it took to get to where we are today. If I had have known that that is what it would have required, this company would not be here today. But through the dedication of families being more concerned about others than themselves, look at where we are today. This is the most unbelievable dream come true that anyone could ever imagine, nor did we imagine we would be as incredible as we are today, and we are not through evolving. Just to end off, my Seattle episode, all of what they wanted me to turn this company into, those two got together, the lady in Seattle and my partner, and they started their own look-alike CMI. Well, the first one lasted for about 4 months before it crashed. So once they figured out, okay, well, maybe James knows a little bit about what he's talking about, they tried to key it up again in another format. That one lasted about 90 days. Needless to say, I'd say at the end of last year, middle to end of last year, I got a communication from my former partner, and surprisingly, it had to deal with, I see things have been going pretty good, and I realized I made a mistake. I want back on board. It's funny how life comes around. Once you believe in something, no matter whether anyone else does or not, or can see the vision, if you follow through and never quit, they eventually will see the vision. And as you can imagine, I can't wait to get back into Seattle today with our information and seminar and workshop, because I know some of those very people will be present at that time. And it's nothing like an incredible vindication such as this as to how the company is today. I had, honestly, this has been such a effort and trial over the years. Most people don't realize this, but I tried to kill this company purposely 3 times. And after the 3rd time, I found out that it wouldn't go away. It just got to a point to where we would build and something would happen and it would go down again. We would build, something would happen and it would go down again. The things that kept happening is we kept having individuals wanting to steal as much of the company as possible. They would come in, I would train them, I would teach them, and then all of a sudden, it's okay, we know how to do it better. And always the we know how to do it better would be wanting to apply multi-level marketing concepts and principles to what we were doing, so that hey, we got a great get-rich-quick deal here. At one point, we had over 16,000 people enlisted in a program in 11 months' time, and this separate program that they were enlisted in, the purpose was to eventually bring them into CMI. Well, long story short, after CMI sharing in this effort of enlisting these individuals, and then we were to get a mailing list of the names and be able to present them with the CMI opportunity, two of the gentlemen decided, well, hey, this is a pretty good opportunity for me to break off here, which they did, and each of them took about half each into, well, no, let's do this over here because this is quicker money than if you go over there and do that with CMI. Now, needless to say, both of those companies are not in existence today. One of the gentlemen can't even do business in his own home state any longer because he has a notorious reputation for getting people into get-rich-quick deals. He makes his money, and when it crashes, how he gets a group to follow him to the next get-rich-quick deal is beyond me. But that does happen out there in the multi-level marketing industry, unfortunately, which brought this cloud over the industry itself. Surprisingly enough, maybe a couple of years ago, got a communication from that gentleman, a letter of apology, and behind that letter of apology it was a telephone call, and next thing I know, he wants to know about if I want to be interested in looking into another deal he's into and bringing my CMI people in and cutting these deals under the table. And I'm like, a lion never changes its spots or stripes or whichever the case may be. Now, I know none of you have never experienced any of this with multi-level marketing people out there. And I know all too well that many of you have. In my efforts of frustration and going through the process of saying, well, okay, as soon as everybody quits, I'm closing the doors of CMI. At these three different occasions, we always had the diehards hanging in there saying, James, it's going to happen, we just have to keep going, we know we had a setback, but the dream is there, the ideals are there, all we have to do is not quit. I want to tell you about a young lady here in Kansas City in her young 70s, Miss Annie Pickett. When I grew up, she was Miss Pickett on the block, and she was one of the nicest ladies you ever want to meet. And now on down the years, and that's when I was like 9-10 years old, so onward in life, now here Annie and I are working together. There were many nights when I had a seminar scheduled, and the only individuals that showed up was Annie and myself. We both would invite people, but for some reason, they did not show. And I know none of you have experienced inviting someone and they didn't show. Now, getting past that sarcasm, you shouldn't feel bad about it, because if the founder had to go through the same thing, you shouldn't feel bad about the fact that, okay, that's normal. I have to go through that before my syndication really starts to take off. So those nights that Annie and I would sit there with the overhead projector, and I'd be in my suit, and she was there to take the names as they came in, and nobody would come in, and she would look at me and she'd say, James, don't worry, it's going to happen. We just have to hang in there, and and next week somebody will show. We had a meeting every Tuesday night. So that went on for a few months, 4 or 5 months. Maybe one person would show, 2 people would show, then they wouldn't come back again. Now, from that experience, today, of course, we have standing room only, bringing in chairs today. Oh, by the way, Miss Annie, she used to clean houses for a living. Now, what does she do? She has her own personal driver, and she gardens. She does not miss a single Tuesday session. She's there taking names of guests coming in, just as she has been doing since 1991. Now, does she have to be there? No, she doesn't. She can be doing anything she'd like to be doing with her life at this particular point. But she loves the people. She loves helping, she loves caring, she loves giving. She has an international syndication. It goes all across the country. Now, with me, as far as I'm concerned, how do you find that type of dedication that in the face of one failed session after another, that optimism still stays there? Miss Pickett is a huge reason why this company is still here today, because without that urging at each one of those sessions, I could have just as easily said, this is not going to work, we're closing the doors, we're out of here. What has really been the key to the success in what we are doing? This has been the true key to the success in what we're doing. Our focus is on what we can do for others instead of what they can do for this company. Each and every person that has come into CMI, and they've looked at this and they're like, man, I can make a lot of money doing this. And that's what they went out to do, is to make a lot of money for themselves doing this. They have found very quickly that, man, this is a struggle. My goodness, I can't seem to get this off and going. When they have approached me about that particular aspect, I've given them one set of instruction. And that one set of instruction almost immediately turned their syndication around for them. People were coming out of the woodwork. They were trying to figure out, well, where were all these people when I first got started? That one set of instruction was this: put the concern for your own financial well-being aside. Find as many people as you can that you can help solve their financial problems. Put yourself in service of others first. And the moment that they did that, their entire success rate turned around instantaneously. CMI is about giving, not receiving. The more you give, the more you receive. Now, this is a tangible element to me today, because it seems like every time I ask for something, it materializes. And it materializes through, I have given first, and then after I give, what I asked for has been placed into my hands. Everything from the incredible families that we've had come into CMI across the country, from the outstanding staff that we've developed in CMI, to the unbelievable opportunities that we have in CMI. Because CMI is a culmination of many minds coming together as one. As we have built and come along, and we've had professionals from all walks of life, they come in, seeing what we're doing in CMI, and they've brought suggestions to the table of, James, we can really do this, with what you've built here, and this is a gentleman out of the accounting industries with all types of degrees in accounting, or investment bankers, or stockbrokers, or individuals that own their own banks, attorneys, everyday individuals giving their input and putting forth ideals. And as we investigated those ideals and developed them, it kept adding to our opportunity. And the opportunity becomes greater and greater. That's why I tell people this company has not grown, it's evolved. And that's what we constantly go through, is an evolution stage. We have no idea where this is going to stop. All we know is in the near future, what we're looking forward to is having our own banking institution, and it will be owned by all of the members, and you will have all of your holdings within that institution. And not only will you have your holdings within that institution, but you'll earn a percentage of what that banking institution makes or earns. And it's going to be a very unusual bank, I'm told, by the investment bankers that are working on the project. And that is, it's going to be probably a 90% asset-based institution. In other words, most of the holdings of that bank will be in tangible assets, silver, gold, platinum, because that's where you'll have your accounts. We'll have extensive real estate holdings. We'll have extensive holdings in precious diamonds, pearls, emeralds, collectible, not collectible, but investment grade diamonds, emeralds, pearls. Now, that's going to be a pretty unusual institution to be a part of. From their point of view, it's going to be probably one of the most lucrative and profitable banking institutions ever seen. And you'll be a part of that. You'll be part ownership of that. We also intend to have our own insurance firm, to where all of your insurance needs will be at this particular institution, simply because insurance companies basically are cash cows. Insurance companies make a ton of money. So not only will your insurance needs be there, but you will also earn a percentage of that insurance company through your ownership. Now, we're talking about a hugely unique opportunity. Even so, and when we get into handling insurance for the professionals throughout CMI, we have an opportunity to give them excellent benefits and rates, as opposed to what they have now and are exposed to now, and able to put them back in their own private practices. It was very disheartening, ABC World News, and they had a special investigative report on how our pediatricians are being driven out of business by the incredible high malpractice insurance that they have to pay. Now, just imagine, here you sit with the very solution to putting them back into private practice, and it was very disheartening to see the tears of the doctors as they were closing their practices because their malpractice insurance had went up more than 500%. Knowing that you have the solution to keeping them in practice, from simply reorganizing them through the well-known, through CMI trust system, being able to reduce their malpractice insurance to the bare minimum the state requires and still make them judgment proof. That allows them to maintain that practice. Now, when we have our own insurance company and being able to supply them with that insurance with the protection of the trust system, look at the huge impact we will have on families all over the country as we are able to put doctors back into private practice, and that prenatal care that is so needed within the lower income families will be restored again. As you can imagine, when I say to you that we do good work in CMI, it's not about just making money. look at the pure impact on families as a whole. The fact that you hold in your hands the ability to share that type of information with individuals to solve a problem and an issue that outside of CMI there is no solution. They have nowhere to go. So do we definitely need to get out our message of the correct financial information and education as quickly and as soon as possible, and to each and every person, no matter what their station is in life? Each and every one of you have to totally agree on how important of a responsibility we all have, because we have this information. And if we sit on it, how much more will families demise if we do not take the responsibility in getting this information and knowledge out across the country? But let me leave you with this. Make no mistake in understanding this. Someone or something far greater than I put this company together. There's nothing that you can say to me to get me to believe that any human being, any person that walks with their feet on this planet could possibly put together something so needed, so valuable, so important, so incredible for families all over the country, and be of flesh. Understand that I do believe with my heart, body, mind, and soul that there is a greater power at work here than I. So as you come to me and say, why did you start this? And how did you get started? I didn't start it. I was led here. It was a destiny. It was a life goal. I am only going where I am led. Trust in and believe that this is far greater than all of us together. And this comes from a far higher power than a mere man. In doing good work, let me leave you with what I hope becomes a mission statement and a motto that we are able to move between our families in CMI. And when this statement is made, it has a special understanding for each and every one of you that are engaged in our audio series here. And we will have a special relationship with each other because we know the meaning behind and the thought and the feeling behind this last phrase that I would like to leave you all with. Simply, it says, in serving others, we become free. In serving others, we become free. Now, I know I will get individuals that will ask me and call in, fax in, email, where did that particular phrase come from? If any of you have ever watched Camelot, King Arthur, and the Knights of the Round Table, if you watch that movie, the most recent version, embedded in the Round Table is this phrase, and that's where it comes from, Camelot and King Arthur. Now, what is the uniqueness of this round table? There is no head and there is no foot. And as we sit at this table, we sit as equals. And as many of you know, all across the country, in CMI, there is only one syndication, and we are all in it together. And that syndication forms a circle. As you come to our seminars, and when you come to the workshop, and those that those of you that have attended, you know we are very big on circles. In serving others, we become free. From the founder to the last person that comes into CMI, we are all on the same level. We are all working together. We are all moving forward in a single focus, a single thought, a single goal, and that is to